What a Gungans put things in jar jars. Science fiction, there's nothing over there, is based on imagined future scientific or technological advances and major social or environmental changes, frequently portraying space or time travel and life on other planets. Now please welcome our acclaimed sci-fi movie critic, Chad Michaels. Hi, Chad. Take a seat.
Fine.
Thanks for being on the show, Chad.
Wish I could say it was an honor.
Alright, so what we're going to do is, since you're such an amazing movie critic of science fiction, I have some movies here that you're going to critique right off the top of your head. Alright, so
Okay.
The Martian.
How to be a loner, the expert advice.
Looper.
How to kill yourself a million times.
Galaxy Quest.
Let's see Santa Claus in a space movie.
Interstellar.
Your mind on drugs.
Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Good new take on how a woman can beat some people up.
Star Wars The Original Trilogy.
Old, but still my favorite.
Blade Runner.
A way to live in a dystopian society.
Jurassic World.
How to ride a dinosaur and a motorcycle.
Terminator.
How to be a dinosaur.
Ex Machina.
How to build yourself a robot for unknown reasons.
Star Trek.
How to ride a spaceship.
Mad Max.
Story of my life.
Ghostbusters.
A mess in a movie.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
How to travel the galaxy with a bunch of strangers.
Alright, well thank you for that.
You're so
See, he is truly an amazing movie critic. Alright, so now let's get into the actual interview over Star Wars. So what drove you to specializing in Star Wars?
I think Star Wars needs to be a part of people's lives, and I pick it over anything else because it just has its own category.
How would you feel that Star Wars differs from other mainstream science fiction stories?
Well, if you look at movies like Interstellar and Star Wars and compare them together, they give you a completely different vibe. They make you feel a different way. They make you have different emotions and make you really feel for what the character's going through in different ways.
With that said, would you consider Star Wars science fiction or more of science fantasy?
I would honestly consider Star Wars science fantasy because science fiction is more like movies like on Mars and things that are more plausible but not necessarily probable. Whereas Star Wars is more of like something that we as human beings are never really going to see in our near future.
Why do you think that the new movie of Star Wars has caused so much controversy in the scientific community?
Honestly, I think so because people are bothered by the fact that there is a woman as the main character, because hardcore science fiction fans often use men as their main characters in their heads, and whenever they're reading, that's just what they imagine, and whenever you differ from that, they just do freak out.
Why do you think having a woman protagonist changes the way people view the movie as a whole?
I think the woman protagonist changes the way people view it because people like, depending on the type of person that you are, people like to see kind of more feminine characters in power, and it gives you a different feeling of accomplishment by seeing that woman of power completing her mission and being successful in her adventures.
Has being a part of this movie changed the way you view science fiction and its fans?
Personally, yes, because I think that it definitely divides science fiction fans in many different ways because of the woman protagonist and because some people were upset by just the way that they decided to do it. And I think that science fiction as a whole needs Star Wars, and it definitely creates a much more diverse science fiction media as a whole.
Do you think Star Trek and Star Wars fall into different categories within science fiction?
I think they're slightly different, but mostly in the same category because they're both about the entire universe. But you could say that science fiction is more of like an overall group, and you could put Star Wars into more of a dystopian kind of world because if you notice in Star Wars, things aren't always great everywhere they go. Whereas if you look at Star Trek, usually the places that they go are well developed, well advanced in technology, and you don't really have the sense that there's this dystopian background to the stories.
Why do you think after all these years, Star Wars the movie franchise has come back?
I think the movie franchise has come back and will continue because Star Wars is an integral part of being a child and growing up. And I know that when I grew up, I remember watching every Star Wars when it came out. I remember the VHSs, having to rewind the VCR tapes and everything. And I think the world needs Star Wars just to progress with science fiction because Star Wars is such an integral part of it.
Do you think it's had a greater impact on the viewers by using old actors from previous movies?
I think it depends on the person. Me personally, I was actually really excited to see that they used the old characters because people who have seen the old movies and watched every single one and really enjoyed them see the old characters and they feel this sense of connection to their past and the connection to the older movies. Whereas I can see how younger generations might differ in that opinion because they don't know the past of Star Wars and they're just seeing it as a new movie. But other than that, I think it has had a positive impact on the movie as a whole.
Alright, well thank you for being here today, Chad. That is all the time we have.
Nice.